someone spoke to me. I had explained to them my situation. They've made me realize first off that my situation is not normal. What I'm going through is not normal. But then they asked me a question, and it really caused me to recognize the situation that I was in. And they asked me, after going through all of what you've gone through, do you want to go back? Hey guys, my name is Katie. Welcome back to the Clean Slate podcast. I'm really excited about this episode because we're going to talk about a very controversial topic. As I've stated before, this podcast is not for everyone, but it might be for someone. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed professional, but I can share my testimony, and I believe that talking is the best way to get a conversation started. So the last episode, I was talking about how I had been forced to leave my house because my ex was still in it, and I was kind of in the street with my children. We were kind of jumping from house to house. We didn't have a stable place, and we couldn't go back in the house because he didn't want to leave. I was faced with a very difficult choice at that point because I wanted to go back to my house. And someone spoke to me. I had explained to them my situation. They've made me realize first off that my situation is not normal. What I'm going through is not normal. But then they asked me a question, and it really caused me to recognize the situation that I was in. And they asked me, after going through all of what you've gone through, do you want to go back? And if you don't want to go back, then you need to consider calling a lawyer. Don't do it halfway, because if you do it halfway, you're going to pay the price later. But you need to consider calling a lawyer to be able to go back to your house and to be able to decide what you want to do. And after giving this question some heavy thought, I made a decision. I decided that I wanted to get a divorce. Initially, what I had wanted was to get a separation because I wanted that separation to do what I thought was the right thing, which is I thought he was going to change from me making those moves. But I realized it wasn't my job to make him change, or even that I did not have the ability to make him change. And so either I had to make a change for myself, or I had to live with the consequences of my choices. And so I decided to call the lawyer, and this is where I decided to start the divorce proceedings. I've invited a very dear friend of mine to talk about this topic because we've talked about it in links. She's gone through a divorce as well. And we've had multiple opportunities to speak about this topic. I feel like this is something that's so touchy, but it's so important for us to talk about. And so I've invited her to come and speak about this with us today. Her name is Charline. She is my dear friend. We've been friends for a long time. I'll give her the opportunity to talk about her story, but she is an amazing woman who's overcome divorce, but also is a beautiful, smart, boss lady woman that I'm proud to call my friend. So we're going to tackle that topic right now.
Thank you, Kay, for all the flowers. I really appreciate it. And I'm accepting it. I'm accepting those flowers. So yeah, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I feel honored to be here.
I love that. So I want you to tell us your story, how you ended up getting
Divorce.
a divorce.
Well, I've been divorced for 8 years now. And it wasn't an easy decision to take. It wasn't, I didn't take it out of nowhere. It was really based on how I was feeling and knowing, being able to see that I wasn't going further. And you know me, I'm a person where things have to go, it has to advance. And I wasn't feeling where I was advancing in my marriage or getting my part of the deal, like they say. And like you, I wasn't going for a divorce. When I called mediation because I wanted separation. I wanted to separate and see if just a separation could bring us back together. But when we got on that seat with the lawyer, and the lawyer said, "So you're here for a divorce?" And he said, "Yes."
Your partner, that is. Your ex, that is.
My ex husband. So when he said yes, I didn't find myself able to say, "No, I just want a separation."
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? I feel like it was what was supposed to happen. And I will never say regret because I don't regret anything. What I wish would have done differently is talk about those silence words that we kept inside.
Yeah.
I wish I would have said, "I just want a separation." And maybe it would have ended up with a divorce at the end. But no, having this in my head where I didn't say it and I just went with it. And I'm sure he had a lot of things that he did not say. And we just went with what we thought.
You went with the flow.
Yeah, we thought that's what each other wanted. I don't think he thought I wanted a separation. He probably thought I wanted a divorce. So that's why he said yes. But I can't talk for him. I don't know. But it's that I don't know
Yeah.
that I would say it always stays heavy in me.
The unspoken words.
Exactly.
I think you touched a crazy point because that process, when you decide to get a divorce, or even when you decide to get a separation, and you involve you involve lawyers, and judges. There are third parties that have a hand in your life, that have a say in your life, and like everything is an open book. But it's important that we speak up and we know what we want. One of the first things to do before you decide to go down that route, whether it's a separation, whether it's a divorce, is that you have to give this a good thought. And granted, there's so many things that I did not see coming and that I kind of had to deal with on the fly because I just didn't know. Like in my situation, there's one thing that I feel I knew, is that I did not want to go back to the same situation that I was in. And then through those proceedings, like I got to a point where, I was ready to lose it all if I could just get to my end goal. But I knew I did not want to go back to the same thing. So I think it's important to give this process a really good thought because, you thinking, okay, you're going into a separation and him speaking divorce, like you said, we will never know. And it might have ended up in the same way. But once everybody has a hand in your issue, I think that has an impact. And so, like, I want to hear you on that. Like, what do you think?
One thing that you said that spoke to me is we can't take this decision lightly.
Yes.
Because divorce affects you for the rest of your life.
Gosh, yes.
Even if you find someone else, even if you 8 years later, it still affects you. It's still part of you. So it's not, I think sometimes people glorify divorce.
Yes.
They glow up after divorce.
Yeah.
They're doing this glow up. Yes, they're getting healthier. Yes, they're doing the workout. Yes, they're doing all this. But how are they feeling inside?
Right.
And they're going to say, "Oh, I'm happier now. I'm better now." Yes, you may be like I lived it. I was feeling better. I was being the Charline that I've lost.
Yeah.
And I refound myself and got to know myself and who I am and what I really want. But the pain was still there.
Oh yeah.
The pain was there. And when I say don't take it lightly, is what you don't want, and I'm going to go back on what I said, and you said the right word for it, unspoken words. I think that when you have in your mind, you and your partner, that your husband or your wife, that you're gonna divorce, sit down and say, let's say the unspoken stuff. Let's get all the unspoken, all the things I wanted to say that I never said, or I'm not saying. Let's put them on the table first. Let's put them on the table with respect, with a lot of respect, because I'm telling you, I'm telling all of you, those unspoken words will haunt you
For the rest of your life.
for the rest of my life. I know they will haunt me. It's just when I meet someone and I'm talking to them, and then they ask me why I divorced. I wish what I'm telling that new person I would have told my ex-husband. So don't take it lightly. Put that on the table if it's possible. Because at the point, like when I look at your divorce,
that's exactly where I was going. Because, you know, like that's the thing. In my situation, there just was not a way for us to talk. There was no way for us to talk and address the situation. So, you know, in that case scenario, I was responsible for me. But I had to do this process. Right? I had to like really think about, okay, what are you doing? Like, is this really where you're going? I can be a little impulsive sometimes on some situations, as you probably know.
I am too. So
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm going to just, you know, play by ear. But that is not one of those situations. Like, there was no way for me to talk to my ex. Like, we were talking through the lawyers, but even that process really taught, like, it really taught me what kind of person he was and what kind of person I was. So in my case scenario, divorce was a must. That route was a must, for so many reasons, which we'll uncover on this podcast. Like, there's so much healing I needed to do. There's so much healing he needed to do. And I don't know if I said that to you in one of our private conversations, but like, it's one of those things where there was so much damage done that, you know, like when someone is an alcoholic, going to a bar is a trigger for them.
yeah.
So this is how I feel about my situation. Whereas there's so much damage that was done because this is how he knew me. This is how he found me. And like, I was broken when he found me.
Yeah.
And I had not dealt with that baggage. And that was things that I found out as part of my healing. And through this process, I realized, okay, like I made some mistakes too. There's a lot of things I did not do right, but he found me broken. So because as a result of me not dealing with this baggage, this is the girl he knew. And part of the problem is I was starting to change at that point and becoming the woman I needed to become. And so in order for me to do that, we couldn't coexist. The woman I was trying to become, which was not the broken little girl he knew, she couldn't coexist. I know that I struggle with validation. I know that I struggle with wanting to please. I know that I struggle with boundaries. And so to put myself in an environment where someone struggles with abuse or manipulation, and it's easier to do it with someone like me, like I feel like that baggage that I had not dealt with, that had I dealt with it before we met, it might have been different. Or we might have not ended up together, but that baggage that I needed to deal with, that the work that I had not done before we met, I was doing it right now. And so he couldn't be in that because our marriage was broken from the start. So
It started in a broken place.
exactly. And we were both broken too.
Yeah,
When we started talking, we were both broken. So like, I think that what you said is important, where we need to put things on the table. And however you are able to do that, capable of doing it, even though it's like, it feels embarrassing or it feels like it's tough, it's important to do it.
Anyways, does it matter? You're thinking of ending it.
Exactly.
Anyways, you're at that point where you want to end it. So might as well end it with a big bang and with the truth and with reality, and see if what you thought was broken could be healed again and could be something again.
Salvaged.
And salvage, exactly. And you said something very that spoke to me, is is growth. Like within your marriage, you saw that you were growing and you were changing and you weren't that Karen that you were before.
Right.
And it's something that I was living because when I had my daughter, I felt my whole being change. I wasn't able to say yes anymore. I wasn't able to close my eyes in behaviors that I knew he had and that made me feel uncomfortable. And I couldn't close my eyes to them anymore. And I felt the power of speaking out and finding, like I was finding who Charline was again. That would always talk about what she wants, how she wants it. I don't regret my divorce and I don't regret my marriage. Okay. What I regret is not having the tools to make this relationship grow the way it should have grown.
Right.
A thing that I wish someone would have told me when I got married is that you will both grow and you will both grow differently.
Yes.
It's have to bring it back
Yes.
in the same path.
Oh my gosh.
That's the
You said
challenge.
something so important. Like, I think that we all experience growth. Like, even the people that aren't broken, even the marriages that are not broken, they experience growth. And that's why it's not a linear path, but is to be able to build together on that. Like I said, in my case, I don't think that it was possible because it was broken from the start. But I don't regret my marriage either. And I don't regret my divorce either, because I've learned a lot from myself and I've grown a lot. Actually, being broken, I really strongly believe that I needed to handle and heal from the get-go before going into the marriage. And it's something that I really encourage people to do. We all come with baggage. Size yourself up before you get into this relationship, because marriage is no joke and divorce is no joke. It comes at a cost. And like you said, you have no regrets. But there's some things that I wish I had known. You think you know, or you think you know what you're getting into. But I want to talk about like some of the costs, like what it what it costs you to go into that divorce. Because and to come back to what you said, it's important to put everything on the table. What do you have to lose by doing that? If you can do it, this is going to cost you when you're going to go down that path. I want you to talk about what it costs you to go through that divorce proceeding.
For sure, emotionally, it cost me a lot. Cost me a lot. A lot of guilt. Like I'll go to the emotional and I'll go to the financials too. Emotionally, it's the guilt because I had a daughter and we worked together so hard to have that daughter.
I remember.
If I could say one thing about my ex, there's so many good things I could say about him. But the main thing is that we went through in vitro and he never missed an appointment. I remember once I told him, you know what, you're at work. It's okay. You could stay at work. And he's like, no, I'll be there. And he was there. He never missed an appointment. We invested so much in having this child, financially, emotionally, me physically. To not be able to give my daughter a family, a normal family. This caused me, because every year I'll cry about it. And don't get me wrong, she's extremely happy. She's extremely happy right now, and she understands. But you always walk around with that guilt when you have kids.
Yeah.
That you wish you could have done better. You wish you could have provided and what a child really needs, because you have that image. That is true. And a child needs a mom and a dad in the same household. They do.
Yeah, they do.
It's so beneficial and it brings so much in a child. So there's this guilt that I constantly walk with, and it's that feeling of failure. And the biggest homework that God gave me was to keep this marriage, and I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't I wasn't equipped to do it. And it's that constant sense of failure. So when I say divorce is heavy, is that 8 years later, as happy as I am, and as happy I know that he is, um, it walks with you.
Heavy.
It walks with you every single day.
Crazy.
It just walks, maybe no longer side by side with me. At the beginning, it walks in front of you, then it walks besides you until it's just a bit, slowly a bit behind. So that's one cost. That's
You'll be rid of that.
I don't know. But for now, 8 years later, it's still there. Um, Financially, it cost me so much. So much.
Tell me exactly.
I can't tell you.
Like, can you tell me what are the things financially? Because I know you, right? You're my friend. So tell me financially, what was the biggest cost for you?
I would say I was deep in debt. I was really deep in debt. Um, and don't get me wrong. I think he was too. But he left with a lot more
Right.
than I did.
And why did you make that decision?
Why did I make that decision? I still wonder why. I'm a person that's very afraid of confrontation. I'm very afraid of I don't like confrontation, and I do put myself flowers. One of my best quality, and I'm not afraid of talking about how great I am. I'm not perfect, but
You're confident.
I'm confident. When I love forever.
Me too.
And when I love deeply.
You too.
And I couldn't see myself leaving him in trouble because I wanted to leave the marriage. So I took the hard decision. We had a home, and I left him the home.
And how do you feel about that today?
How do I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all because I was able to buy 2 other homes. Later on in my life, I was able to buy 2 others, So, like, I think I really trust that material things I will never attach myself to.
I agree with that, and I believe in that. I think so. I think I was wrecked emotionally when I was going through this proceedings. And like I was going through all the stages of grief. No matter what I had gone through in that relationship, this is all I had known for the past couple of years. Brokenness is all I had known for the past couple of years. And so I kind of learned how to survive in dysfunctionality. And here I was now trying to figure myself out of this. And then all the stuff that I had to deal with for myself, all the dysfunctionality that I had inside of me, I had to face it. But I went through like all the stages of grief. Like, I didn't like being alone, sleeping in a house alone. Like there was some times where I wanted to call him, just for physical presence. Although I knew what I had done. Like I knew that why I had gone through that way, and that wasn't the move. But this is all I knew. So like to actually detach myself from that was a huge thing. I felt frustration. There was a time I kept cursing.
Yes, I remember. I was on the phone with you. It was constant.
All the time. Like it's not even like me, but I just kept saying the F word. Like I just was upset. I was frustrated. I was mad. I was in distress. Like I went through all of those kind of things, but and I have to pat myself on the back for that, but also not myself, because it's really God that kind of took me from like a deep place of sorrow and took me out, but also like my friends and the people that were there. And like I remember when you were going through your divorce, when you were getting a divorce, I didn't really know what to tell you, and I don't think that anything I could have told you would have helped because I didn't know what you were going through. But I remembered when I was going through my proceedings, you're the first person that I I wanted to talk to, because I knew you knew what that was about. And I remembered the times that you were feeling alone, and I didn't really know what to tell you. And I felt that loneliness. I felt like, okay, I need to learn how to be with myself. I need to learn how to love myself. I need to learn how to be in my own presence. And it's like I didn't even know how to do that. And it was a learning process for me, but I wanted to be around, and I wanted to talk to people that knew what that felt like. And I know you knew what that felt like. Listening to stories about people that understood what that was.
And just to add on, I just don't want to forget. I remember because in our friend group, or in even everyone that got married in the same year as me, I think I'm the only one that got divorced, I think. And the loneliness was so deep because everyone felt like you. Everyone felt like you, where they didn't know what to say.
Right.
And where I felt sad about the Christian community
Right.
is I felt like a curse.
Oh my gosh.
I felt like a sickness.
Yeah.
I felt so rejected. And it's not to blame you at all, but I remember you would call me and you would say, Charline, I pray that you guys come back together. I know you guys are meant to be together. And again, I don't blame you for that, because you didn't understand what divorce was. But it was so deep, the pain, because no one understood me.
Yeah.
But everyone just threw the Bible at me about how divorce is not meant to be, about divorce this. But no one tried to look deeply. Like, why are you doing this?
Like, or just be with you.
Or just be with me. Yeah.
Just be there.
And when you talk about what it cost me, I was poor. I was literally poor. Like, I had no money. I remember, because my ex-husband, like I told you, he has amazing, great qualities, and he allowed me to not work for a while. And he was a provider. And when I left, I didn't have a job.
Right.
I had a Mini Cooper. I found a job at $15 an hour. It only paid the Mini Cooper every 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Every 2 weeks, it just paid that Mini Cooper every month. Every month, that's it. My rent, I just went from credit card to credit card. I credit line to credit line. I just transferred money everywhere to get things paid. And I wasn't able to talk to you about it, or to friends about it, because all they cared about is
for you guys to get back together.
It's all I heard. But no one asked me, how are you doing? How are you making it? Like, are you They all knew I wasn't working. Are you working? Nothing. Because I was that disease that didn't follow God's word and left her husband. And not only God's word that I did, but I was a woman who left her husband. Yeah. That was the biggest thing, being the woman who left.
First, I want to say I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I apologize because I get it now. I felt that. Exactly what you described is exactly how I felt. Like, I felt like I was an allergy. I was very involved at church. And maybe I'm just in my head, but I just felt like there's some people I was walking down that path and they would just want to go down the next path. But I've gone through a lot of different things, and I've spoken to people about grief, because I think marriage, losing your marriage is also it's a loss.
It is.
I've lost, and you've lost children as well. So you know what I mean when I say that. I've lost children as well. But even that was a loss. And so sometimes you just need people to just sit there with you. Just be there with you. And I did not recognize that at that point. But that's why it's important for us to do this, to speak openly about it, because I feel like a lot of people, they go through they go through stuff and they don't like, and people just don't know what to say, so they just say the wrong things. They just do the wrong things. And if we talk about it, if we're open about it, then I think that that's an open door for people to change their mindset or their perspective, because what you said is true. At that point, when I felt like an allergy, like a disease, when I felt lonely, and like where I was like trying to juggle my own life, I was already doing that before, but like it just was a different level at that point, because then like I was by myself, I had my children, and like I was used to him being in the house. So like if I needed to go do something, I couldn't do that anymore. I was really by myself, left to myself, and I was going through a hard time. And sometimes all I needed was someone to just show up. Like when I lost the children, people showed up at my door with food, and like they asked me, and for the most part, some people did, but then it was just awkward. They didn't know what to tell me, so then they didn't want to be around me. So I get that. And sometimes we just need that.
I think we need our desert sometime. We need that moment where everyone just leaves us,
Yeah.
and we're in the desert and we need to figure it out on our own. I don't tell people to be on their own. There's a lot of things that I hear that I think is very sad, where women are like, I want to be independent, I want to be doing it myself, I don't need a man, etc. I unfortunately I do not believe in that. But I believe in loving yourself so much that you attract that love towards you, so I believe you need that time.
Yes.
to
You do.
to get to know yourself and love you.
To love yourself,
Exactly.
to heal yourself.
Exactly.
Because I think I had
But
gone
it's
through
a
a lot.
healing is a process.
It is a process, and it takes time.
It never ends. It never ends. It's for the rest of your
Doesn't-
life.
You're right, and
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that, because like I think I've come to understand what triggers me more now. But you're right, and we're constantly gonna go through stuff. So I think healing is continuous and it's never gonna end. But on the one hand, I agree, we do need that time to grow and to learn and to figure stuff out. But we also need a presence. We also need that.
We need it.
And that helped me, in that sense. Like it helped me. It helped me remain accountable. Helped me remain alive too sometimes, because you go through some difficult times and you're trying to figure it out. And sometimes you need those friends. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for people that were in my life that understood me, that knew what I was going through. My family, my friends, they knew I had gone through a lot. And then I'm grateful for that desert that I've gone through, because then I was by myself trying to figure myself out. And that was a really tough part, because I had a home, I had a rental property as well. Like I had built myself a life over there. And then I was faced with some very difficult choices in that proceedings. And at first, I did not want to sell my house, because I felt like I had worked so hard to get it and all that. And then I realized, I remembered, actually, this house was given to me. God gave me this house. I could not afford this house. And I remembered saying for the longest time, like I was in disbelief for having this house, because I'm like, this is a miracle. I don't know how we got this house.
I remember.
I said it's for so long, and then here I was acting like I earned this. I worked hard for this. When really it wasn't mine to begin with. God gave me this. And I love what you said, because you said you were fine with giving it up, because then you had two more afterwards. And this is just the God that we serve. He blesses us beyond measure, but we got to trust him. And really, I learned that in that process. I learned to trust God, and the thing you said about the guilt. This is what got me the first time. Like I just couldn't heal from that guilt the first time. And I felt so much guilt at that point. But I truly believe, that the God that we serve is beyond our understanding of us. Like we're not even good for ourselves. If we think about our situation and try to problem solve our situation, we can't even do it the way God does it. We can't actually, but like we can't even begin to think about healing. So there's so many points, there's so many times where during that process I got really much closer to God, and really that's what saved me. And I really think he helped guide my decisions. Once again, like I'll get into more details later on more episodes about my personal experience, because I think we both went through the voice. We
Yeah.
both went through similar emotions, financially, emotionally, physically, but we had different situations completely. But it built us both. But one of the things that I came to recognize is that I was ready. I came to a point where I was ready to lose it all. If I could come out of this alive, healthy with my children, I was ready to lose everything. And it took me a long time because I did not want to part ways with what I thought I had earned with my job, my houses, and my like all the stuff that I had that I thought I earned. And then I recognized that everything I had, God gave it to me.
Yes.
And that he's the ultimate provider. He gives and he takes away. And so I came to a point during those proceedings where I was like, I don't care if I come out of this with $0, as long as I come out.